Howdy. Today we're going to be talking about contributing to Elastic Docs. It's going to be a quick video just to show that if you find a typo or if you think that a couple of steps can be better clearly outlined, it's a 5-minute process in order to just file that feedback. So today we're going to be looking at the Fix Watermark Errors document. We're going to show filing that quick PR, and then afterwards I'll walk you through a PR that has already merged so that we can see the effect. So under Fix Watermark Errors, we see that we can come run an allocation explain request, which says that you can include the JSON for the current node. That is 100% true. If we click over though, we'll find that that is optional. So we don't necessarily need it, but we could have it. So just for illustrative purposes, today we're going to say, let's go remove that part of the content. So if we are on the Elasticsearch docs, we're under current. We're going to jump over to the master branch and then we're going to start editing. So over here, I'm going to say edit. In the URL, you can see it brought me to the current stack version, which is 8.15. I'm going to port that over to, it's either master or main. I find out every single time which one it is. So it looks like it's main for us. And then that was somewhere near the top. We see cat shards, cat recovery. Okay, so this is the line that we don't need. And so we could just say, let's remove it. It's not necessary. We will see down here that it had a related nose or test, so we can take that test out. So at this point, we can say the edits that we want to make are ready. And then let's say, let's preview with a show diff. And all it shows us right here is that we removed that current node content. Okay, so at this point, we would be ready to go commit those changes. So here we'd say it's doc update, removing current node from allocation explain, under API, under fix watermarkers. API request. Okay, so if I go to propose those changes, you're going to see that it automatically creates a branch for me. You can call it whatever you want. I just let it iterate on its own. But after it creates the branch, it's going to create the PR for me. So over here, we have our PR. It started filling stuff in. Oh, I had too long of a title. Under removing, under fix watermark errors. Remove current node from allocation explain under fix watermark. I wonder if that's too long. Hopefully not. Okay, howdy team. And then under here it tells you, like, if you have never filed one before, this is the list you need to do. So I've signed the contributor license agreement. I followed the guideline. I'm not submitting code. Is the poll against main? Excellent question. Right here we see it is against main. Is it an OS and architecture that's not applicable to docs? And have you read a policy? Yes, I have read that. Okay. So over here we preview. Yeah, that looks good. And then just to confirm, yeah, the diff shows a little funny, but all we did is remove the current node and remove the current node test. Okay, so when we go to file this, we're going to say it's an enhancement. And then afterwards, each of the repos has a slight variation on what these look like, but they all have the team docs label. So we want to say it's an enhancement for docs and team docs. If you know the sub dev team to link, you can, but if you don't know them, by preference, we'll have the docs team link them for us. So for us, we can say that's good. So we're just going to hit create pull request. And then at this point, because we added the team docs label, if we give it a second to think, it recognizes my labels were added. it's still thinking. Somewhere in here, it's actually going to ping the docs team. So it gave us a documentation preview. It's doing it. So you may get this message to allow edits. That happens when you're an external contributor, which you see up here. It's been adding some more things in order to help me. Okay, so it just pinged the docs team, so now they know to come take a look at this for us. So the PR is showing this like red X mark up in the title. That is totally expected. It's currently doing some of these checks in here. When it goes to do those checks, if they experience an issue, the docs team is gonna like have your back and go try to help figure them out or offer you feedback on like which parts need fixed. But at this point, it's building those docs, which is awesome, in order to just verify that it runs, passes all those tests. So at this point, PR is filed and PR is submitted to the appropriate team. So they'll come and approve, and then they will merge it on our behalf. So nothing further to do, which is awesome. Eventually, when those changes take effect, it'll be the exact same doc, just without that current underscore node on it. So let's look at a historical example of this same doc that we did recently in order to just flesh out some of what this looks like, just so you can see after a PR is accepted, what it ends up looking like. So a couple weeks ago, I asked the team in order to flesh out this doc. So from current that you see, the request was to add in just some wording changes, some header changes. It's all ASCII doc instead of Markdown. And then because I'm support, I specifically asked that they like add in all of the exact resolution steps that the support team frequently ends up recommending to customers. So this was a doc PR, plus it actually ended up being some code because we ended up asking the dev team that when this error, which is disk usage exceeded flood stage watermark, when it occurs, that it actually links the user directly to this doc in the future so that we can kind of close that gap on when an error is noticed to how do they resolve it. So this PR, I think, went through a couple rounds of feedback. So it looks like Dave Turner left some awesome feedback. I'm pretty sure it all ended up being kind of grammatically pedantic, which totally happens because we're working internationally and I accidentally use a lot of American jargon, not realizing it. So it looks like just a couple things like spaces and whatnot. And then afterwards, he was able to approve it. Again, he merged it in for me because this one was affecting code change. It only applied going forward rather than also merging into the current version. So its changes are merged, but don't show on current, which is right here, but do show on master. So they will show in a future version. So the changes that we kind of outlined is that one adds in that table of contents. There's some slight rewordings, nothing too big. But as we scroll down, eventually we see that we added in this resolve section so that when the error happens and it shows in the Elasticsearch logs, it's going to link to this doc. And the bottom of this doc now says the 4 most common things that the Elastic support team tells customers to do or to consider when they're trying to resolve disk watermark issues. So with that, we just saw in order to file a PR, it takes all of about 2 minutes. Afterwards, asynchronous process, dev and the docs team is going to review it, just make sure everything's good, and they're going to get it across that finish line just to get it merged in. Both of the teams, super friendly, super awesome to work with, and extremely responsive in my experience. But all of these things are, I don't know, just great additions in order to kind of outline a little more thoroughly, like when issues happen, right? Like it's common knowledge, it's just not common documented how to get things back on the happy path. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Bye, all.